nieces and nephews, to another episode of Crawl Before You Ball, Love, Relationships, and Money. It's me, Auntie Buffie, doling out my unsolicited advice. I don't care because I'm your auntie and I'm going to tell you what you need to know when I feel that you need to know it. If you have a burning question for TT, please text CBYB to 404-737-1091 and I may just feature your question on an upcoming episode. If you're new to this channel, my podcast is brought to you by the ACAST Network. We love y'all, ACAST. All right, so this is edutainment, advice, TT real and raw. She may cuss a couple times, but I try not to. All right, so let's get into it. Buckle up, darlings, because you know Auntie gonna bring it. Nieces and nephews. Now, y'all know Auntie love to kiki, and before we get into our fabulous next guest, and it's going to be really fun, I've got to give you your vegetables. Again, Auntie is not here to just give you what you want. I got to give you what you need, honey. Wants and needs are very, very different. So today, we're going to talk about a topic that needs to be discussed. Caring for your aging parents. Yeah, y'all getting old. And if you ain't old yet, you gonna get there. And so you got parents in your life and grandma them and aunts and uncles or whoever raised you that is gonna need you to help them as they get older. Because we all know Medicare, Medicaid, all that is not covering. Social Security, that mess does not cover their expenses. And, culturally, some of us know, that is our responsibility. Some folks maybe don't think it's their responsibility and it's going to throw folks in a nursing home or do whatever. But either way, ultimately, as their child or grandchild or person of emergency contact, you are going to be responsible. And so you need to start planning for that. You need to start planning if you're blessed with siblings, with cousins, with whomever who is responsible for the aging people in your life. So a number of things that you can do. One thing is we need to make sure we got all the legal paperwork in order. One thing that TT does not like that happens all too often, especially in a community of people that look like me, is folk are not ready to bury folk. Folks are not ready with what's going to happen to grandmama assets. People always think these old people ain't got no money. Let me tell you something right now. Baby, they got more money than you think they have. I've been to a minty of funerals. I've been to many consultations with clients when I was still in practice who were left with a hot mess because they thought grandma didn't have any assets. She passed away and there was nothing in place, no will, no nothing. And when that happens and there's strife within the family and no common accord and people don't have a plan or we fighting over the house and doing all this other stuff, baby, the government will come in, the state will come in real quick and seize them assets. Honey, give them any excuse. They'll come in and get them. A lot of people think when grandma's house is, in the country or in some tiny small town and it's in a dilapidated condition that is worthless. No, it's not. It's not, y'all. The thing that they don't make any more of in this world is what, nieces and nephews? Auntie says all the time, I'm a broken record. Land. I don't care what that house look like. That land is worth some money. Why is gentrification so important and going on right now? It's because the other folks who are out here, these investors, they understand that in these areas where the property values may not be so high, they can get these houses, tear them down and build something else and make a whole bunch of money. So why are we so quick to give it away? We need to have a plan in place to take care of grandma's house. We need to have a plan in place to make sure ain't nobody getting no loans on grandma's house. Child, I heard so many stories where people done went and got loans and reverse mortgages. Stay away from that. It's a way to steal assets from families. Them commercials you see on TV and any actor doing a reverse mortgage, child, they needed some money. Reverse mortgages are the worst. If you don't know what a reverse mortgage is, it's where these predatory companies come in and they say, we'll give you some money based on the value of your house. And it's not based on the value. It's like a fraction of the value of your house. And they trick grandma and grandpa or your parents into taking a loan out on property they've owned for years. They give them the money and guess what? They don't have to make any payments. Now, we all know if it sounds too good, it's what, y'all? It's too good, period. And so what happens is when your family member passes away, they're going to get a family a good 30 days to buy that property from them. Now, why would you have to buy something that grandma owned already? Because she done went and took a loan out. And know that they're going to add some additional fees to it. And so it's a new way for them to take these assets that our families have acquired over the years. Don't allow grandma them to do that. And this means that we have to have meaningful discussions with grandma and grandpa and our parents about their finances now, when they're coherent, when they know what's going on, and they're going to fight you on it because people don't want to talk about morbid things like wills and trusts. And, I know my grandma, she would send me to the store and be like, where my change at? And when I started having conversations with her about her money and her assets, she looked at me crazy until I explained to her about how the family could lose her assets. And then she understood. You've got to start doing it now. And if you have a family member who is a lawyer who specializes in these things, and let me walk that back one more again, who specializes in these things, not no bankruptcy attorney in the family, not no credit card attorney, like the attorney needs to specialize in wills and estates and trusts. If not, then sometimes the family need to put some money together and get this stuff in place because it's going to cost you far more money later if you don't have these things in place. Another thing that my family did is we had an attorney come and video record my grandmother saying what her wishes were. Because sometimes people like to contest wills and trusts and such. And you need to do it when they're in a good cognitive state and have a third party that's not in the family that nobody can say coerce them into doing these things so that you can make sure that you carry out their wishes. Now, in terms of caring for them as they age, for me, I'm moving my mom and dad up in the house. I ain't paying no nursing home. Child, mom and dad gonna come in the house and I'm gonna use the resources that the government does allow and have home care, healthcare nurses and folk come and see about them where I can, because I just hear too many horror stories about nursing homes. And I understand sometimes everybody doesn't have the resources or time or energy or wherewithal to do all those things. And if that's the case, then, talk to your brothers and sisters or nieces and nephews or cousins or whoever loves grandma, and y'all put a plan together so that everybody can help take care of them. It's important when people age that they stay in their home as long as possible, especially when people start dealing with things like dementia, because moving confuses them. And so, before that happens, if your parents are showing signs of all that, try to go ahead and start getting a home health care nurse coming in. Try to go ahead and start get family members to go on rotation and do shifts to help. And the people that don't help, remember that. Remember that if you're the executive of the will. Remember that. You just remember that. And we're going to reward the folks that was 20 toes down, 10 toes down for grandma and grandpa when they needed them. The folks that's always in grandma and grandpa pocket or have been consistently, it's time for you to show up and show out for grandma and granddaddy. Come over there and cook a meal. We ain't just dependent on the church. You need to come in and help. This your blood. This who helps you. This who had lost a beat when you needed help while you were growing up and as an adult. And so we also need to think about their mental health because, think about it. Like my grandmother, and I'll share, she just, I write about her a lot in my book. My grandmother is my mentor, and she started businesses and was always conscientious about giving back to her community. And she bought all this land back when black folk went buying land, and she started trailer parks and rented trailers, nice trailers, to people in her community and people that went to her church who looked like her, and was an excellent landlord. And she had a farm, and if you came and helped bring in the crops, you could take the food. And she was just so great. And to see her now at 94 years old, where she can't do that anymore, it's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking for her because remember, if you've been a boss your whole life and then all of a sudden you're in cognitive decline and you can't recall things and you're not able to do things the way you used to, they need help. They need you to bring in people who understand, who can meet with the family and talk to you about dealing with when they can't recall things, not like fussing at them or rudely saying, I'm not this person, I'm that person. You need to put the work in to make things easier for them as they transition and take care of them. Remember, our elders are to be respected. They took care of us. We need to take care of them. We need to love on them. And we don't know everything. So do the research. If you don't have the financial resources, talk to people. And the church is great. The church is a great resource. But if the person isn't skilled in this specific area of dementia, or someone, just aging and dealing with cognitive decline, reach out to psychiatrists and psychologists. Do the research, y'all, because they did for us. They did the best they could for us. There are some organizations out there like NAMI, which is the National Alliance for Mental Illness, that have amazing resources on their website that talk about aging parents and caring for them. You can also go to other organizations that can help you with learning how to cope as the caregiver. Because a lot of people don't think about that. It's hard work. Like in our family, my aunt is a registered nurse, and she has been charged with taking care of my grandmother now that my grandmother is 94 years old. And what my family did is my grandmother had land next to her home. My aunt put her house next door to my aunt. My aunt put her house next door to my grandmother's house. And so my grandmother lives in my aunt's house, but she can sit on her porch every day and look at her home. And if she wants to go over to her home, she can go to her house. And I know everybody isn't able to do that, but that has been wonders. And I'm not about to cry. That's done great for my grandmother's mental health. And the fact that my Aunt Mickey is a nurse, we don't have to worry. She takes care of her. And even though she didn't ask for anything, the family sends her something every month, a love offering, because it's hard work taking care of an elder and making sure they're washed and taken care of every day. And so you need to love on those people who are doing that work, and you need to offer help and support whenever you can. All right. I love y'all so much. Thank you so much for taking your daily dose of your vegetables from TT. And if you have questions, we're going to provide links for all the resources that I talked about. I talk about this in my Crawl Before You Ball class and in my book. And remember, we need to honor our elders. All right, nieces and nephews. All right, now I'm going to play favorites. I know everybody should be talking about this, her favorite. This is my favorite niece right here that I'm bringing in. Y'all cousin, y'all already know her. Indescribable, a.k.a. Jerilyn Lake. She Said It First podcast on the Urban One Podcast Network. It is so good, y'all. Please go check it out. And she's a singer, songwriter, comedian, and political advocate, and the songwriter of my favorite song, These BBLs Killing Y'all. But the thighs don't match. Hey, girl, how you doing?
I am always happy when I get to spend time with you, Buffy. I am good, baby. How have you been?
I'm great. I'm great. I've been seeing all the amazing things you're doing. I'm so very proud of you. I'm proud of you for spreading the you need to vote message. I'm proud of you for helping the children with dating. I'm proud of you with your comedic career and everything. I'm so proud of you.
Well, thank
And
you.
y'all, we're actually auntie and niece play in real life. Like we actually know each other in real life.
Absolutely. So, when you call, I'm going to answer anytime.
Thank you, darling. So usually this segment, I ask the folk, the nieces and nephews, their questions, but Auntie had been on the dating scene for 25 years, especially not in Atlanta. So I want to know the following. What is your opinion about being single in 2024 in these ATL streets?
Child is ghetto. Take me out the group chat. I want to go somewhere else. Remove me from the planet, baby, because I don't know. I feel like there is an interesting dynamic right now. I don't know if it's because of what I do for a living. It might not be the same for people with traditional jobs, but because of what I do for a living, like everybody wants to humble me. Well, at least the black men that I have been coming in contact with. And you know what they're gonna say? Well, you just picked wrong. And I'm like, well, honey, it's a lot of y'all. It's a lot of y'all, and a lot of women, whether we deem them powerful or not, depending on how much money they make, the degrees they have, because they love to say, oh, well, we don't care about that. We don't care about your degrees. You do. You do. And it shows up in all the insecurities throughout the relationship. So, child, the way it is out here, if God don't come down himself off a cloud and tell me who the man is, I just won't know.
So you just are dating for fun, or what do you recommend for the nieces, single nieces and nephews out there, the single nieces out there? What do you think they should do? Just date for fun because these fools out here acting crazy in the Atlanta streets.
Well, I'm not opposed to a relationship if it makes sense. That's my favorite phrase is make it make sense. And if
Mm-hmm.
it's good for me and you, then I can rock with that. But a lot of times it's not. And so I'm not telling people to date for fun. If a relationship is something that you want, then continue to date. and date multiple people. Figure out what it is that you like in a relationship, your non-negotiables. Stick to them, because the second you lower your standards and settle for less than you deserve, you're gonna end up getting less than what you settled for. And I always try to teach women that, like, I'm not a relationship guru. I don't have it all figured out, but I do know what I deserve, and I do know what I want my relationship to look like and how I want my partner to show up for me. And so, outside of just finances and stuff, because that's a thing too, like, women are always like, well, men have to provide. Well, sis, if you've been doing it for yourself for the last 10, 15 years, and you just met this man, you cannot expect him to come in throwing money at you and paying all your bills. If he's doing that, he's love bombing you, and it is his
Mm-hmm.
attempt to control you. That has been my
Mm-hmm.
personal experience. I don't know a single man that I've ever dated who was loaded and was just throwing it at me, unless it was manipulative. So if you want to date, then be intentional about dating. But if not, don't play with these people. Go make you some more money, start a business, take up a hobby or something, but stay out these streets, because it is not safe.
Yeah, I want to touch on that more about the love bombing and the controlling nature of everybody wanting to be flued out and then pay for everything. It is very, very dangerous. And my experience when I was single 25 years ago was much the same as yours. There are strings that wrap around your throat that come with a man controlling you with money. And all that glitters is not gold. And really, nieces, y'all need to be careful with the Instagramification of relationships and thinking that you want to be flued out and do all this stuff and that's all that's important. No, you want mutual love and respect. That's what's important. You want somebody that supports you in your endeavors. You want someone who, if they don't have similar things that are going on, that they're open to living your lifestyle as well. And so, no, I agree. It's not safe out there right now. It's scary. Everybody I've talked to is just like, child, I'll just stay at the house. I'll stay at the house. What do you think about dating online?
I feel like when you date online, you give people a blueprint, and unfortunately, and Nick Cannon said it as well, he will show up as whoever he thinks you need him to be, you desire
Mm,
him to be, and he'll play that role as long as he needs to play it to get what he wants from you. So, my mom's had been telling me this for years, and I never really paid attention to it. But she would when I would have frustrating conversation with her about dating, she would say, "Because you're talking too much," and I'm thinking, well, how am I supposed to get to know somebody if I'm not talking? And she wasn't talking about the types of
mhm.
conversation. She's talking about, you're giving these men too much information. And so now when people ask me what I'm looking for, I don't know. I'll know it when I see it. I'll allow people the full freedom and space to be whoever it is they are. And then I determine if that's something that I want in my space or not.
Oh my goodness, you just said a whole sermon. Don't get him the blueprint to gaslight and fool me into thinking he is what I want. No, show up as you who you are.
Yeah.
Show me who you are. Show up who is you truly are. Depict that to me. That's what I want to see, and I'll make the decision. Yes, you just said a whole sermon, darling. Now, what do you think about the girlies, and you and I have this in common, who are dating and you make more money than your man?
I can't relate because I refuse. I refuse, and I'm not balling, but I do well for myself in this field, and I'm not even where I want to be. So my concern is not. It's not about I make more money than you, you make more money than me. Usually, a man's value, the way he sees himself, is directly tied to his ability to provide. And if that man feels like, because I've had this before, men are like, well, if you don't need me to do this and this and that, what you need me for? So they
Mm.
struggle to find their contribution to the relationship outside of money. And okay, emotional support, conversation, companionship, your personality. Are you funny? Can we sit on the couch and do nothing? Sometimes when you see me upset, do you have the wherewithal to ask and be concerned and genuinely try to solve problems? Because while it's great to have a man to drop $2,000 to get your engine replaced or whatever, it's also cool if he can just Google how to do it or find somebody to get it done.
Amen.
Because
Amen. Amen.
I was having car
Amen.
trouble, and I mentioned it too many times for my comfort, and that man is no longer in my life, because I need to know that you have a problem solving attitude, because I have a problem solving attitude. So when we're in a relationship, it's never me and you against each other, it's us against these problems. And if you don't have a problem solving attitude, you're about to be a liability and not an asset.
Mm. Preach. I'm so proud of you, niece. You are absolutely correct. I love a good fix 'em up man, a good DIY man. Uncle Dave is one of those. But there are downfalls with that, I will tell you, darling,
Mhm.
because Uncle Dave is good at a lot of things, but plumbing is not one of them. But he thinks he's good at plumbing. And when there's a plumbing problem, he's like, you don't need to hire anybody. And then he's jacking up plumbing in my house. But no, it's good to have somebody that at least tries to figure it out and then just isn't throwing money at problems. Like I problem solve as well, so I want the same. Now, tell me the biggest disconnect between men and women dating in your thoughts.
Unrealistic expectations.
Mm.
And it's that Instagramification of relationships that you just mentioned. We get on social media and we see people getting flued out, and for their birthday, they're surrounded by Birkin bags and Telfars and red bottoms and all these things, and it looks great. But honey, your man work at Waffle House. Like, let's be very real. Like, we can't expect things from people that, and it's not even just financial expectations. It's when I date now, I'm concerned about what is your relationship like with your family, specifically your parents, right? Because most of the issues that we see in adulthood come from trauma, childhood trauma and
Mm-hmm.
parent wounds. And so, as a 35-year-old Black woman in this space who is actively dating and actively in therapy, I need to know, what did you hear growing up? Because if you think verbal abuse is not that bad and I'm being too sensitive, we have a really big problem.
Mm-hmm.
And also, just that's one of those things that I feel like women, they try to put unrealistic expectations on men, because if you see that this person, and I don't know what it is about us, if you see that this person don't have what you need, why are you trying to make him your type? If he's not your type, you're setting yourself up for failure and heartbreak. If you see potential in somebody and they don't see it in themselves, there's nothing that I can do to bring it out of you, because people like to throw those, well, if he was like this, it would bring this out of me. Baby, you don't want to
Mm-hmm.
do it. You don't want
Mm-hmm.
to do it. If you don't naturally seek to do certain things in relationships, it is not who you are. And you need to find somebody that you're compatible with, because being cute on Instagram is not being compatible.
No, it's not. And Instagram, remember, nieces and nephews, is curated art of people's lives. It ain't the real deal.
Right.
Far too many people are just posting the good. They ain't posting the bad, the ugly, and the real. And you touched on something that I think is really important also. If the guy you're dating works at Waffle House, why in the hell you think he about to buy you a damn Birkin? He don't make enough money to do that.
That part.
Like why would that even be in your mindset of something that's gonna happen? And that doesn't mean that this guy ain't a good guy. There are cooks at Waffle House that make $50,000 a damn year. That's decent money for some people who can pay their bills and do what they're supposed to do. I think we've got to get our nieces out of this I need to have a billionaire. There ain't that many darn billionaires in the world, and you're gonna find yourself at the house by yourself trying to make these people who are hardworking men, the plumbers, the folk that are welders, the folk with trades, the bus drivers at MARTA who make $100,000 a year, that you turning your nose up to in the air because you think he ain't a billionaire and can't fly you out and do all this stuff. You don't know what that man can do later once y'all in a relationship. And
Mhm.
so you need to give people a chance. I agree. You're absolutely correct, Jerilyn, in that you don't need to get them the roadmap. They need to show you who they authentically are. But we also need to not cut our nose off because we think that this is what we want. A lot of women out here thinking, I need the Birkin, I need all this. I can afford all that stuff. Do you think I had that stuff, Jerilyn?
I sure don't. I had this
I don't.
conversation the other day. I'm just not a label girl. It's not me.
Mm-mm.
I grew up a tomboy. And so the me wearing dresses and heels, this is all very new, and I've figured it out over the last 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
So all of that stuff doesn't appeal to me. So when
Mm-hmm.
you have to date me, like, there needs to be stimulating conversation. I need to know that you're not, like, I need you to be intelligent. I need you to be able to communicate with me about something other than what you saw on Instagram. And, oh, my cousin did this at the house. Like, I need to be fully engaged, especially when you think about what some of these men have unrealistic expectations too. Because if you ever thought my mama was in labor with me for 92 hours, so I could be a cook, a
Uh,
housekeeper, and a babysitter,
and a paymaster.
baby, and then be all this whole 50-50 stuff. Let me just throw this out there, because the conversation has been so skewed, and it's upsetting me and my homegirls. The 50-50 conversation is not the problem. Women will gladly pour into and support men on a daily basis. We see it all the time. Girls get pregnant by men who we feel like they're not doing anything. They lack ambition. So it's not that broke men can't be loved. It's the fact that all you have is not, like, when you hang your hat on what, like, your wallet and nothing else, a lot of people aren't pleasant to be around.
Mm.
And so there's no, for me, I know some people that do it, but for me, I can take myself to STK or Rays on the River or whatever, and I'm not suffering through no interaction with somebody just so I can hopefully get a payday. It's not that important to me, and it shouldn't be that important to someone else. Get to know these people for who they really are, and then determine if that's what you want in your space. And if it's not, dead it as soon as you realize it, because stringing people along, that's how they end up on the ID channel.
Mm-hmm. So listen, you brought up something that's very interesting to TT, because we having a niece and TT conversation. Now, again, I ain't been in the game for 25 years. 25 years ago, Auntie wasn't paying for a damn thing.
Right.
Going out to dinner with a man. Nope, that was unheard of. Hell no, I ain't paying. I wish Uncle David would have asked me to pay half the bill at the dinner. This is the norm now?
I'm not finna do it. But people are having the conversation. They're like, well, times are different. Cost of living is higher, inflation, and we need to split these bills. Honey, if I'm paying 100% over my bills over here, I'm not coming, especially, and I've done this before. Slap me on the wrist right now, because a man asked me to move in with him, and I said, oh, I want to show him that I'm not just with him for his money. Whole time, child, I was paying rent a little bit cheaper than what I was paying by myself, but the man didn't have no money. So I was like, girl, you trying to be some type of martyr, and you ain't even getting your needs met. So at the very least, I feel like if I'm going to, because it's levels to it, right? Every relationship is not the same. And when you see that you're in something that's beneficial and valuable, of course you would want to pour into somebody. Now, when it comes to a first date, no, you need to figure it out. You came over here and started talking to me.
Right.
Start that whole what do you bring to the table foolishness. You knew before you sat down at this table. And don't make me flip it over.
Now, niece, I'm gonna have to, because you ain't called me about this topic. Wait a minute, somebody asked you to move in with them, and then it was a beneficial financial relationship for them, because how you gonna ask somebody to move in with you and pay half the bills? I thought when you ask somebody to move in with you, it's I want you to move in with me and I'm gonna take care of everything.
That's what I thought too, child. And like I said, I wanted to show him that I could be a partner to him, but he immediately took that for granted. And so I decided I'll never do that again. And it's not me speaking from a place of trauma and being bitter and saying, oh, I'm never going to show up for a person this way. But baby, you got to show me something. And it's because men are the pursuers. They are the hunters. You came over here bothering me. I was minding my business in my little 1-bedroom, whatever apartment. Don't come over here with that foolishness. And I think that's what we're seeing a lot of. And then the men today, like they either want a daughter or a mother. And it's the most interesting dynamic I've ever seen, especially when they have damaged relationships with their mothers. They either want a daughter or a mother. And so I just have to listen, we both make enough money to hire somebody. You're not going to be having me up in here cooking and cleaning 7 days a week after I done worked all day and might be making more money than you. We're not doing that. So I think it depends on what type of a relationship you're in. And this goes back to having reasonable expectations. If that's not where y'all at, that's not where y'all at. But if your argument is, well, times are different. Okay, well, you get up in here and cook.
Correct.
You wipe the baseboards down. You walk the dog and clean up behind the kids then. And a lot of them don't want to do it.
I have a lot of people who ask me where they're like, the husbands are like, well, she don't want to have sex and our sex life is dead and she is mad at me all the time. And I'm like, are you helping out at home? Is she going to a job 8 to 10 hours a day, picking up the kids, coming home, cooking dinner, cleaning, doing laundry, and then you think she about to put some lingerie on and turn some tricks for your behind? No, that's not gonna happen. We tired. We tired. We tired.
Faster than you taking something off my plate.
Right. I come home and I see you done wash the dishes or cook dinner. Oh, baby, yeah. Then I'm going to be in the mood. When or you going to just pick my feet up and rub them, or you have drawn a bath for me. That's sexy. These men think it's all about, oh, I got to go spend all this money. No, help the hell out at home. I always get this question from my nieces. How do you spot a husband? So I ain't spot Uncle Dave. Uncle Dave spotted me. But when saying spotting a husband, you've gotta like, and you've spoken to this, Jerilyn, as well. You've gotta see that the person has. You gotta be equally yoked, y'all. That old Bible, that is the truth. You gotta be equally yoked in your mindset. You gotta be equally yoked in your goals for the future. You gotta be equally yoked in your family and how you treat your family. You gotta be equally yoked in how you approach mental health. You have to feel love and mutual respect and not feel like you just arm candy or somebody that's about to save my life and my mama or a child. You've got to be a partner. And y'all know darn well, y'all can see that when you dating somebody. Trust your gut and your intuition. You can see the red flags and stop with this. I got to fix folk. Auntie ain't had to fix nothing with Uncle Dave. I didn't. Is he perfect? Hell no. He's not, and neither am I. I'm a hot mess, but we a good mix together. We equally a hot mess. We equally yoked in our hot messness. What do you think about that, darling?
Well, I'm divorced, so clearly I don't know how to spot a husband. But I think, like it goes back to that provider mentality, and it's not always money. I just need to know that I'm a priority for you and you genuinely care about my well-being. And when I feel like when you actually care for someone, when you are interested, when you love them, when they are important to you, you will move heaven and earth to make their life easier. That's men and women. And so if you dealing with somebody first week, you mention you have a little problem and he don't come up with nothing, it ain't got to be money. But he ain't offering no type of, because I'm the type, I ask a bunch of questions. I want to know, is this something that I can help him fix? Or do I know somebody that could probably fix this? And if I don't see that, then I don't even want to date you. Who cares if you're a husband? You're not even a boyfriend. You're not even a friend. Me and my friends have this thing that we do with each other because we send each other care packages and flowers and we take each other out. And if you can't treat me like my friend does or better, then I just feel like it's not going to work because and I'm also treating myself this way. So why would I allow you to come into my life and treat me less than I'm able to treat myself? That's backtracking.
Correct. And you made a very good point. There is a difference between enabling and helping. And that's okay to be a problem solver in a relationship. And if a problem arises and you come up with helpful solutions or you know people in your network that may be able to help the person, enabling is different where it's just like, I'm going to just throw some money at this. I'm going to fix it. I'm going to, whatever. No, I'm going to give you the tools and extend my network of people that can help you. That's showing love. That's showing partnership. That's showing somebody that you can build a lasting relationship with. And that's not me being your mama and fixing everything for you like you're a little child and you don't know how to fix your own problems. So no, I agree. All right, I have had so much fun kicking with my niece. My niece, send me just one bar of the song, just for me.
Only for you, Buffy. These BBLs killing y'all. Ooh, and the thighs don't match. What a shame.
And y'all look a mess. And do. I love you so much, darling. Now tell the people where they can find. They already know where they can find you because you're famous, baby. But tell them where they can find you. Tell them about your podcast. Tell them about everything you got coming up, okay?
Well, look, first of all, the tag is right there. You can find me as Indescribable on all platforms, but I am a singer, songwriter, actress. I'm venturing off into stand-up comedy right now, so I'm really excited about that. I do have a podcast that I host with my co-host, Lene Monet. It's called She Said It First. It's an Urban One podcast on the Urban One Podcast Network, and we will be having a live event right here in Atlanta on October the 24th. So I'm really excited about everything. Of course, TV, film, I'm getting into that too. So it's really been a journey, but I'm happy to have people like you to be on it with me for guidance, advice, and just having a friend whenever I need it. And to do stuff like this to share with other people because you never know who is connected to your purpose. So I appreciate you so much for having me.
I appreciate you too. And if ever you want me to join you on podcast, I will. And I'm going to come to your event too. I'm going to be write it down. All right. I'm so thankful for you, darling. I'm going to call you later. Love you.
I love you too. Bye.
Bye. So, hey, nieces and nephews, I'm about to introduce you to my new favorite niece and nephew, Davon and Sophie. Hey, babies, how y'all doing?
How
Hey,
y'all
hey,
doing?
hey.
What's up, Auntie? How
Hey,
you?
babies, I'm fine. And y'all have two beautiful grandnieces of mine. Tell everybody about my babies, what their names are.
Go ahead.
Well, we have two beautiful baby girls. Our firstborn is Rose Halo. She'll be 3 in December. December baby, our Sagittarius. And then we just had another baby this year, baby girl Willow Joy, our Valentine's Day love baby.
Oh, congratulations, guys. And I love their names,
Thank
baby. Them
you.
babies gonna be able to get some jobs.
Yeah.
You know how to go, you know how this world is. So, Auntie heard that you have a question for me, nephew. What's your question?
So, with us being parents, we, as you can see, we're interracial relationship, and we've been together for a while, but we're two different people. So my question is, right, how do we grow as a unit and as a team, but still manage our differences, our disagreements, right? We want to highlight our individuality, but still grow as a unit, that one unit that we are.
Great question, nephew. First, how long have y'all been together, married and dating and known each other?
So we've been married for like 4 years. For 4 years, we just
4 years,
celebrated.
yes.
We just celebrated our 4-year anniversary in September.
Congrats.
We've been
Thank you.
together around like 14 years. We met in college, so we've known each other since college.
I love.
So we've been in each other's lives for like a third of our lives.
I love it. I love it. I love it. So, to answer your question about how do you remain a couple and grow together as a couple, but also have your own individuality, I'm going to tell you a secret that's worked in my marriage. I'm also in an interracial marriage. Uncle Dave and I have been together, married 20 years and together 25, is we practice a thing called separate day. And separate day is once a week. We typically do it on Sunday, where we wake up and we don't speak to each other. We have the whole day to do whatever we want. He can play Call of Duty and whatever crazy shoot 'em up games and craziness that I would normally complain about and stay in the same clothes all day. And I can go watch my favorite ratchet reality TV shows without judgment or go shopping or go to the spa with my girlfriends and nobody complains. You get to be an individual, relax, do whatever you want to do. And we practice it every week. Now, y'all got two babies at the house, so y'all gonna have to figure that out, but it is possible. And it's important. I think when you get married, a lot of people think, oh, it's joint everything. No, you can't lose your individuality and what you like separate from your spouse, because you're not going to always want to watch the same thing, read the same book, go to the same movie, do the same activities. And there's nothing wrong with enjoying what you enjoyed before marriage and not forcing it on your spouse.
I love that.
Yes, thank you. That's
Thank
great.
you.
Yeah, I'll definitely look to
Yep,
incorporate
separate day.
that.
Yep. And it's guilt-free. And and it's something you'll look forward to. So, do y'all have another question for TT?
I do have a question. So speaking of, having two young babies at home, just some low cost, possibly babysitter free date ideas so we can continue to, date each other while we also have these other responsibilities with finances and taking care of our
I
kids.
love it. Put them babies to bed. Put them babies to bed and still date each other. Get some good, draw a lovely. Let me tell you something, Davon. Let me tell you, Davon. Let me give you the roadmap. Let me give you the roadmap. And Auntie A, I've been married this long for a reason. Let me tell you how I get them panties to drop. Okay, this what you do. You plan to draw her a lovely bath. A lovely bath. Okay. Put her favorite lavender or whatever scent in the bath and join her. After them babies go to sleep, you both gonna relax and love on each other, rub each other's feet, kiss, date each other, eat, make a meal at home. I think too many people make a big deal about going out and spending money. I love nothing more than being home with my husband and watching something on one of them darn streaming services we paying all this darn money for, in bed, snuggling, the little things, just being connected, touching each other, kissing, watching a movie, laughing, hugging. The babies sleep. You can still date each other at the house. Compliment her. Sophie, compliment your man. Say, damn, baby, you look fine today. Like, every everybody still wants to be courted, and that's how you keep the spark. Don't let it go out. Act like you still dating in the marriage, and it's possible. The babies go to bed. When they go to bed, everybody's like, sleep when the babies sleep. You also need to do other grown folk things when the babies sleep.
Yeah, we appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank
'Cause
you.
every time you think, normally people think like, all right, trying to find low cost like outside the house, but that's a great idea to me. Bring the date into the house, right? Bring that
Yeah.
date home.
We're paying all this money to live in these homes anyway. Enjoy them. We got food at the house. We got movies at the house. We got TV at the house. We got drinks at the house. Right?
Yes,
right.
Yeah, so we could take some of the babies.
You got that right. Remember how I know my mom used to give me some good old diamond tap. I didn't say that, CPS. Okay. Do y'all have another question for TC?
Yeah, we got one more question, right? So, since you and Uncle Dave, y'all been doing this for a long time. Y'all been locked in, right? We trying to get there. We trying to figure out, right? So we take trips every year that are just like locked into our lives, right? Like visiting the in-laws, going away. So we're trying to get like more international family trips in, and we're just looking for an advice on like future planning for those trips and how we can like manage maybe a trip every year, every 3 years. Like your thoughts on that?
I think it's great. You're building experiences, which are fantastic for the kids. It helps with them seeing the world and understanding life outside the bubble that is the safety of the home that you and life that you prepare for them. And, you know, it helps them grow to be well-rounded adults. And so, you know, a lot of people say, well, you know, how can we afford this? How can it happen? Well, you know, budgets are actually freedom. They're a roadmap to your financial future. And so what you do is you budget for the trip. You guys have a date night where y'all drink some wine, have some dinner delivered to the house, and you sit down with each other and you say, these are our short-term and long-term goals in terms of trips that we want to take in the next year. This is our budget. This is how much this trip would cost. And this is how much every month we're going to have to put up in this high-yield savings account so that we can afford to pay for this trip. And then that way, when you go on the trip, you don't feel guilty that you've dipped into your savings. It's something that you budgeted for, that you know is good for your family. It's something that you want to do, something you look forward to, and you've made this desire part of your budget. And so it's guilt-free. Just budget for it. If people think that budgets are just about your needs, you also budget in your wants.
Yeah, thank you. That's great.
You.
We appreciate
You're welcome.
That.
Now,
thank you for all the answers.
you're welcome, darling. Now, Auntie has a question for y'all. So Uncle Dave and I have been in this interracial marriage. I just want to know if y'all experience some of the same problems that we do. Now, we've been together forever. We'll be at dinner. I could be eating off his plate, loved up. We're a very affectionate couple. And they will inevitably ask us, do you want 2 chicks? And it's just annoying.
Yeah. So I actually since we've been together 14 years, right? We have a lot of these stories. I have one that is particular. We have a bunch, but I mean, I'll let Sophie
tell me what's up, Sophie. What happened?
Let me tell you.
Okay, go ahead. Davon, you take all the time. Listen, not explain. I'm messing with you.
I can see how mine aligns.
All right, yeah. So once, like maybe Sophie lived in the city for a couple years now. Her family came to visit, and she has one cousin. So I'm from New York City. She's from upstate New York, right? We met in college, Binghamton University, which is a state university school here in New York. So she moved to the city, right? We started our relationship. We're going out to a place called Burger and Lobster. Very nice place, Midtown, Times Square. So they're there already, and I'm late, right? Clearly, you know CPT, I'm coming late. Like, so I'm coming, and I'm like, I get to the hostess, and I'm like, well, I'm gonna find my family. My family is here. So they're like, all right, go ahead. So I go in, I sit down with my family, is Sophie and her family, right? Clearly, I'm the only black guy here. We're here having pleasantries, chopping it up. Then the waitress comes to ask me, like, hey, did you find your family?
Stop playing with me, nephew.
Yeah, we there at the table. It was one table here, and I'm just there with them. We're laughing and joking, and they come and like, hey, did you find
So you just sitting with some random white folk just kicking it up, right?
friends with everybody.
What makes the story that much like even level deeper is that I told her like, hey, yeah, this is my family, right? And they're all like, yeah, we're his family.
Good. I love it. I love it.
The waitress, young girl, right, young lady, she broke down crying because she was a light-skinned waitress, and she's like, damn, I can't believe that I just came over here to do this when my parents are interracial.
Oh my goodness.
Like she immediately had
visceral reaction to that. Yeah. Well, you taught her a valuable lesson that day. That's good.
Of course. Yeah. So whenever I get those questions, I always have that story like that.
Yeah.
Mine's not as deep as that, but just the most recent one I can think of. We were out at a friend's birthday, and the waitress came over to me. He was over at the bar, and the waitress came over to me, asked me if I want a drink. And I said, oh, I'm just going to wait till my husband comes over to see if he wants anything. And Devon came over and was standing next to me. And she said, okay, I'll just come back when he comes over. I said, oh, no, this is my husband. He's here. So we can order now.
Child, these people.
And there's even more with the kids and,
especially
the kids.
Our kids are like brown skin. So when stove goes out, she gets that.
Yeah. One of my friends is in an interracial marriage as well, and they call their kids khaki colored. And when they travel, they have to make sure that they have the kids. Each parent has to have a copy of the passport because they've gotten like stops. Like the dad's the white guy, and the kids they say khaki color, but they're like light skin, and they'll be like, "Whose kids are these?" It's like crazy stuff that interracial couples are having. Like he's just walking around with some random people's kids. Like it's just crazy stuff that we have to deal with.
I travel with their birth certificates whenever we go. We haven't traveled internationally yet with them, but I always have a birth certificate on me.
And one of my plans is to like have a picture of like a family picture to prove like, hey, yeah, we are a unit.
Yes.
Right,
it sounds like we have to. It sounds like we have to, and it's insane, and people just don't get it. I appreciate y'all for sharing your story. You're such a beautiful couple. I love the babies. I appreciate your openness and vulnerability and honesty because your questions will help other people in a similar predicament and also inspire people. Y'all been together a long time and still all booed up and cute and pushing babies out.
You know that?
Well,
we here. We appreciate you. We appreciate your time because even though we're here, we've been together for a long time, we still have space to learn.
We all do, darling. If we all knew it all, we're not living. So I appreciate you saying that. Auntie learning stuff every day too, child. That's what life is all about. If you have questions and you would like them featured on Crawl Before You Ball, just text CBYB to 404-737-1091 and Auntie might answer your question on the upcoming episode.
Auntie Buffie, we got some questions that need answers.
Hit me up, Cole. What you got, girl?
Dear Buffie, I just turned 38 and I am single as hell. I was seriously dating someone a year ago who was everything I desired in a husband. The only problem was that he lived in another country and wanted me to move there to start a life with him. My life is here though. I have goals, dreams, and things I want to accomplish in my career. But a year later, I'm wondering if I made the wrong choice. Do you think I should have moved to be with him and get married? I just couldn't see myself, quote unquote, moving for a man. Help.
Hey, darling. Hey, my niece. Auntie, first of all, congratulations on 38 and single as hell. Enjoy your time, baby. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Listen, trust your intuition. Always trust your gut. Your body told you, hell no, to moving. And you need to trust that. It's a lot to give up your whole life, your surroundings, your beliefs, your career, your family, your friends that you've cultivated for a marriage. Why could he move to you? Hello. Why couldn't he move to you? He could have moved to you just as easily. He asked you to move to him. Now, in certain circumstances, if he's independently wealthy and he about to change your whole life and he can fly you back to see your family whenever you want to, then maybe that's a different story. But baby, if he's not offering all of those spoon feedies, stay put. Don't second guess yourself. There is nothing wrong with trusting yourself and your gut. I love that you have goals for yourself in your career, in your life, and you want to continue to do that in your home. There's nothing wrong with that. And trust me, he's going to come and he's going to live in your area and he's going to understand the importance of what you believe in and what you want and not ask you to leave. So that's fine. A year later is fine, honey. That's fine. Don't worry about that. Y'all quit being in such a rush to get married. They'll come. Be crawl before you ball into marriage as well. Because these fools that's balling, jumping into a marriage, they crying about it later. Trust Auntie.
All right, your next question is from your Crawl Before You Ball text community. So Kim wants to know, are there any penalties to settle and pay a reduced amount versus paying the full amount of a debt?
Hey girl, thank you for texting 404-737-1091 CBYB with your question, because y'all could do that too, nieces and nephews. Yes, there are penalties to settling debts, but they're temporary. So one of the penalties is, let's say you had a debt that's $10,000 and the company says you can pay them $3,000. Well, guess what? They're going to tell the IRS that you had this penalty, that you agreed to this plan. And so you paid them $3,000, but you owed them $10,000, and they're going to report the $7,000 they didn't get to the IRS as a bad debt expense. Let me explain what that means. That means you're going to get this little lovely notice in the mail from the IRS next year that says you have to claim that $7,000 as income on your tax return. Did you know that? So you're not going to get away with it. So you might as well, in Auntie's opinion, is going to try to work out a payment plan and pay that mug off. Or if you okay with paying the taxes on it, pay the taxes on it. The other thing is it's going to show up as a debt that was settled on your credit report, which adversely affects things as well. So, sometimes make a plan with them to try to pay the full debt over time. Might be best if they can do it where they're not charging you some astronomical interest and craziness about it. But know that there's definitely a penalty, multiple penalties, when you settle for less than you owe. The company is not doing that out of goodness of their heart. They're going to get a tax deduction from the IRS. And the way they do that is they have to tell the IRS, we gave you this bad debt of $7,000 because you ain't pay us for $3,000 and you owed us $10,000. And then the IRS is going to turn around and make you claim that as income next year. Y'all got Auntie all the way messed up. Y'all really do. How do you get married to somebody and y'all have not discussed what your roles are in terms of the finances in the marriage? Gender roles are important when you're dating. They're more important when you're married. And listen, I come from an old school kind of background where, I sometimes feel like traditionally, yeah, Uncle Dave, you didn't pay everything. I ain't paying nothing. My money is what. But that ain't right. We didn't date that way. We dated as joint. We bought our first house when we were dating together, paid for half. And so you need to keep those same expectations when you're married. You can't change up things. It's not very good to bait and switch people. And that's the same for my nephews out here who are doing all this, like, I'm a high valued man and I pay for everything. And then when you get married, you're talking about, well, you need to get a job or you need to help. Y'all need to discuss that mess before y'all get married. Y'all need to determine what works in your relationship. Auntie can't tell you, oh, no, you got to do everything joint. I can tell you that, but you don't have to. If that is not the way you set it up, then that's not fair. It's not fair to go into a relationship with the expectation that he has been flying me out or flued out, as y'all call it. He's been buying me Birkins. He's been taking me to Chanel, doing all this stuff. And then the minute we get married, that stops. That ain't right. That's not right. Before we get married, we need to have a discussion. Is that spoilage going to continue? If that's something that you think is important to you, niece, in a relationship. Some women have very traditional values in that they think the man is responsible for handling all the expenses. And I'm responsible for the household. I'm responsible for the children. Or I ain't responsible for nothing. I'm pretty. And so you need to pay for everything and do everything. And so y'all got to discuss that. Some men feel like we need to be 50-50 in this. Marriage is a joint venture. And Auntie does believe in that. Like, marriage is you're joining your life together. You join your finances together. You build wealth together. If you want to protect your assets that you built before marriage, get a prenuptial agreement. If you're already married, try to get a postnuptial agreement. But if that's not important to y'all, you need to continue what you said was going to work. And if you didn't take the time in your marriage counseling with the pastor, when you should have been doing marriage counseling with a financial planner in addition to the pastor, and developed a plan for how we're going to handle things like buying our first home, growing our wealth, saving money for our children. How many times a year should we go on vacation? Who's responsible for paying the bills? And quite honestly, even if one person is better at taking care of the expenses, let's say the wife is way better at paying bills, making sure the money is set. That's fine for one person to be in control of that. But what we're not going to do is the other person not have access to those accounts. What we're not going to do is the other person not knowing those accounts that are being paid. Everybody needs to know what's going on, because God forbid somebody pass away. And then you're like some of my clients that I've talked about in other episodes, when I was still in tax practice, whose spouse passed away and they didn't know if there was a will. They didn't even know how to log in a checking account. They didn't know where the credit cards were. They didn't know what the life insurance policies are. You can't do that. You're partners in a marriage in every sense of the way. And even if you have a traditional marriage where your spouse, one person, is paying for everything and you're living what they call a soft life with a hard wig, that's fine too. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Auntie ain't gonna hate on you if you got a hard wig and a soft life. Baby, do you. But you better darn sure know what's going on with the money. Because if he find him a younger hard wig soft girl and give her a soft life, you don't want to be left in the lurch. Okay? All right. I love y'all so much. Thank you for everything. And what you need to do as I end this rant is crawl before you ball. TT's course is available. Crawl before you ball. The links are below for credit. Crawl before you ball. Just learning the lifestyle of, learning to earn, save, ball occasionally, and repeat, as Auntie says. And my good old book, Crawl Before You Ball, is available everywhere books sold. Don't say Auntie ain't set you up for success, because I have and will continue. We've reached the end of our episode, so Auntie has to give you her assignment. Y'all know I'm a stickler for some homework, okay? This is edutainment. Auntie got to teach the children stuff. I love you, nieces and nephews, so take your notes. Okay, number one, we talked about, yes, if you settle debt, sometimes that's a good thing, but know that there's going to be a penalty associated with it. You're going to get a good old notice in the mail from the Internal Revenue Service saying you got to claim the portion that was written off as income on your tax return next year. So just be prepared for that. Also, we talked about when you're raising a child and you have specific things that you want for your child in terms of their financial future instead of toys, it's perfectly fine for you to tell family members, I would rather you contribute financially to my child's future. Those toys, kids don't need toys, they need money, honey. Okay, so we talked about UTMAs, which are custodial accounts. And then last but not least, it is important to start now. I don't care if you're 25 years old, having the discussions with your parents and grandparents about what the plan is to care for them as they begin to age. Talk to your siblings, tell everybody you're going to be on deck. I ain't doing it all by myself. And if I am, I'm going to be the executive of the state. And baby, I'm going to remember. Now, if you love this podcast, if you're enjoying this content, please like, share, subscribe, do all the things, download on all the podcasts, give Auntie a rating. I need thousands of ratings. I need 5s, honey, 5 stars. Y'all better take care of TT. And obviously, you can get my book, Crawl Before You Ball, wherever books are available. Download this podcast, and I have my Crawl Before You Ball course for learning how to crawl, as well as credit at crawlbeforeyouball.com. Smooches. Be productive.